Wealth. Coveted by almost all, it is something that very much can put you in a completely different place in society depending on how much of it you have. While there were some men in history who possessed enormous amounts of wealth, which is exactly what we'll be talking about today. Hello everyone, welcome to Top 10 History, your hub for historical lists and amazing history facts. Today we're going to go over the top 10 richest men in history. Make sure to watch until number 1 because who we picked as our top wealth men through history might shock you. And just a quick disclaimer, because of inflation and conversions of different currencies throughout history, a lot of the numbers you will see on this list are estimations. We'll also only be including historical figures, so sorry Jeff Bezos, we'll have a different video just for you. Before we begin, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel with notifications on because we release a new historical top 10 list every single day. Also make sure to smash that like button. Alright, let's just get right into the video. Number 10, Muammar Gaddafi. Net worth 200 billion USD. Muammar Gaddafi was the longest serving ruler of Libya until his death in 2011. And something to know about Libya is that the land is saturated with one of the most precious natural resources of the modern era, oil. Gaddafi's fortune is believed to have come from his control of these oil fields, which he used for his personal gain. It is also believed that he had hidden fortune of assets, investments, and real estate around the world, which contributed to his fortune. Unfortunately, Gaddafi's hoarding of this wealth, along with the overall political corruption and crimes against humanity within his regime, he was forced out of office by rebel forces. On October 20th, 2011, he was finally captured by rebel forces and was executed. His net worth was estimated to be around 200 billion at the time of his death, which would have made him the richest person in the world at the time. Number 9, William the Conqueror, net worth 229.5 billion USD. William the Conqueror was the King of England, having taken the throne by force when Harold Godwin took the throne for himself during the famous Battle of Hastings. During his reign, he would confiscate land from his followers and claim the land was his personal property. Several revolts and uprisings across the country gave him an excuse to put them down with force and then claim the land for his own. He eventually distributed the land to his Norman followers, but he kept all of the institutions for himself, leading him to gain an enormous amount of personal wealth. During his reign, he ordered the creation of the Domesday Book, which kept a record of the population and all properties in England. The book still exists to this day and is kept in the Public Record Office in London. Number 8, Mir Osman Ali Khan, net worth 230 billion. Mir Osman Ali Khan ruled the princely state of Hyderabad and Berar until it was annexed and taken over by India. Time magazine declared him to be the richest man in the world in 1937, with wealth equal to 2% of the entire US economy at the time. It was reported that he had a collection of gold that was worth more than 100 million at the time, a collection of jewels that was worth more than 400 million at the time, and he was the owner of the Jacob Diamond, which he simply used as a paperweight for his desk. He commissioned many public buildings that are recognized as monuments to this day, such as the State Central Library, Assembly Hall, Jubilee Hall, State Mews, Osmania General Hospital, and many others. He founded Osmania University and made many other contributions to education during his rule. He also founded and established the Hyderabad State Bank. He is believed to be the richest man to ever exist in Southern Asia. However, the majority of his wealth was confiscated by the Indian government when the new government took over power in India. Number 7, Nikolai Alexandrovich Romanov, net worth 300 billion. Officially titled Nicholas II, Nicholas was the last Tsar of Russia. As the Tsar of Russia, some of his accomplishments as the Tsar included the completion of the Trans-Siberian Railroad, which to this day remains the longest railroad in the world. Despite these accomplishments, he developed the nickname Bloody Nicholas, after opening fire on demonstrators who were just asking for better working conditions, as well as because of events like the Kadynka tragedy, a human stampede that resulted in the death of 1,389 people. He was also infamous for partying with royal families while over 90% of Russian citizens were starving, and not to mention his relationship with a homeless mystic named Rasputin, who completely tarnished his image. Nicholas was notably a weak Tsar, and even himself admitted that he was not a great ruler. His many mistakes led him to be forced into resignation from leadership, and eventually the country turned to communism under the helm of Vladimir Lenin. It's no wonder the populace would seek an economic system that was a little more equal, especially when one man had a net worth of 300 billion in today's US dollars, while everyone else was starving. Number 6, John D Rockefeller, net worth 341 billion. When we think of rich American businessmen, Rockefeller is a name that pops up in most of our heads, as he's regarded as America's first billionaire. Rockefeller one day decided to invest $4,000 in an oil refinery, and by the end of his life, that investment turned into about $341 billion in today's US dollars. His company, Standard Oil, grew into a monopoly that essentially took over the world's oil trade. The company was eventually broken up into many different companies as Standard Oil was considered an illegal monopoly, and some of these smaller companies included BP, Exxon, and Chevron, which Rockefeller had partial ownership of anyway. The smaller companies grew, and so did the Rockefeller family fortune. Rockefeller gave about half of his fortune to his family in the form of trusts, and the other half he donated to charities. Number 5. Andrew Carnegie. Net worth $372 billion. Another incredibly successful American entrepreneur, Carnegie led the expansion of the American steel industry. He is also regarded as one of the most selfless billionaires in history, as he donated over 90% of his fortune to charities. That's about $335 billion in today's US dollars, donated directly to charities. He was able to earn his fortune through his innovative idea of figuring out how to cheaply and very efficiently mass-produce steel. His company was the first US company in history to exceed $1 billion. Upon retirement, he sold his company to JP Morgan for $303 million, of which he kept $225 million, which is over $7 billion in today's money, adjusting for inflation. Upon his death, every penny of his fortune was given away to charities and foundations. What a guy. Number 4. Akbar the First. Net worth $21 trillion. This is where we get to areas on the list where people were so rich that it starts to become almost impossible to calculate. So a lot of this is based on highly educated guesses. Akbar was an emperor of India's Mughal dynasty. Mughal India was known for its strong and stable economy. Akbar was a big fan of the arts as well as literature and education. He commissioned a library that held about 24,000 books written in several different languages. As he was a ruler, the Mughal Empire tripled both in size and wealth. He was big into commercial expansion, extending trade routes, and developed a system of highway police in order to minimize thievery along the trade routes. During his reign, he created many political and social reforms which still had influence to modern-day India. Number 3. Zhao Ziyang. Net worth $30 trillion. Zhao Ziyang was the 6th emperor of the Song dynasty in China. To the people, he was known as Emperor Shenzong of Song. Zhao Ziyang's enormous wealth was said to come from new technologies that were developed during his reign, leading to mass production and massive revenue. One of these technologies was the invention of gunpowder, which grew in global demand upon its discovery. He also formed the tax system in the dynasty, allowing for a much more efficient collection. He was also the first leader to introduce paper currency to the world, creating a much more efficient currency system that did not rely on expensive materials. He was also a very generous leader who did care for the well-being of his citizens and supported welfare. The emperor died in 1085 due to illness and passed his legacy on to his son. Number 2. Genghis Khan. Net worth over $100 trillion. Now here is a name in history that most people will recognize. Genghis Khan was the leader of the Mongol Empire, one of the largest empires the world will ever see. At its height, 25% of the world's population lived in the Mongol Empire. But did you know that Genghis Khan was one of the richest humans ever to walk the earth? Apart from having a massive empire that stretched from Korea to Eastern Europe and all of the natural resources that came with it, he also had complete control of the Silk Road, which was a major economic artery of the world at the time. The Great Khan, however, was very generous as he would often share his spoils of war with his soldiers and their families. Number 1. Mansa Musa. Net worth unmeasurable. Many historians agree that Mansa Musa was quite possibly the richest man ever to live. He was the ruler of the Empire of Mali, a land that was rich with gold, gems, salt, and other precious resources. It was believed that half the world's gold at the time, that is east of the Atlantic, came from Mali during Mansa Musa's rule. Being the ruler of the kingdom that possessed the largest mines and the most valuable resource at the time, one can hardly imagine how he became the wealthiest man of all time. He inherited his kingdom, which he grew significantly under his rule, annexing 24 entire cities. His kingdom that took up a 2,000-mile stretch in Western Africa became a huge hub for trade. During his life, Mansa Musa left Mali and took a pilgrimage to Mecca, taking thousands of men, resources, and tons of gold with him. His entourage was described as a walking city, making the rest of the world recognize his unbelievable wealth. Did these facts shock you? Make sure that you subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on more amazing historical facts and much more. If you like this video, check out this next video on the 10 amazing facts about Anne of Cleves. Alright, have a great rest of your day and I will see you in the next video.